Today, I will be showing you how I analyze and trade USDJPY using volume profile. Now, picking up from where we did the analysis last week, there was a number of ideas that I thought was going to happen, right? They didn't happen, but however, there were still good metrics to use to navigate the market. Because remember, it's like sometimes if what you're saying doesn't happen, the opposite of that could turn out to be the correct answer to the very question that you're asking, right? So for example, what do I mean by that? Well, in last week's video, I congratulated all you guys that were able to take the sales from this location over here and write it down. Actually, let me jump onto the 1 hour. It's going to look a lot better. So I congratulated you guys on being able to spot this location over here if you did, and then you wrote it down. Okay, and then we talked about price making his way up here, and then round about the making of the video, I think we was on this candle right here. Okay, this was what was pushing through the weekly high that was set for us on the previous Friday that I had pointed out to say, hey, if price closes above the weekly high, this is what we're looking for. So price was testing this area, and this was on the recording. So price came back down, came back into the low value node area, and then continued on its journey upwards, right? Continued on its journey upwards. Then it finally closed above the weekly high. Didn't stay there for long. So what basically it did was it collapsed back into the low value node of the high value area, and then blasted all the way through, came back and retested or tried to retest the low value node area again. That could have been a possible location for a re-entry, for a sell if the buy went bad, right? And the buy would have gone bad, right? Unless obviously you were targeting really slim wafer thin margins or trading stop was super tight. So that's the only way you could have won by taking a buy up here, riding it up, and then obviously immediately after, say, I don't know, next 2 hours after, we had a straight collapse all the way down. So you might have been able to walk away out of that with some kind of profit, or you might not. It just depended on how you did it, right? But what we do know is that in this area over here, we had price attempt to retest, to tap into this low value node area right here. It tried to do so. That could have been a location on a possible sell to the downside, and you would have done well for 2 days, right? You would have done well for 2 days, and then in the early hours of the Friday morning, if you did not have a trailing stop, price would have then obviously, well, shaking you out. So let's see what time it actually moved. Yeah, so you had up until 10 a.m. in the morning to secure what you had. So, but literally, that's what more or less took place, right? So we had a retest. You could have hopped in on that. That was around what time? That was around 8 in the morning. So 8 in the morning on a Thursday. If you spotted that, if you're up that early, reading it all the way down. And if you did secure yourself with a trailing stop, well done to you. But price came all the way to point of control right here, and then it began its retracement back up to the upside. Now, one of the cool things with volume profile, okay, is that it can be tricky to understand and use, especially if you get all your settings on there not to the level that you're supposed to be, right? It can kind of play with you a bit, but if you do get everything right, it's usually quite accurate in terms of where everything is moving around and what it's doing. You can't usually manually manipulate where the point of control is going to be, but you can manipulate the data on the side to kind of show what information or how much of an information you want to see. So with what you're looking at right now, this is the overall total of all participants in the market, whether they're buying or selling, but there is no more on the sell side or more on the buy side. That just confuses everything. I'd rather just keep it simple, just like my candles. One solid color, volume profile, one solid color, right? Where there aren't any transactions, I know those are areas of interest, or low transactions, I know those are areas of interest. Where there are high transactions, I know those areas too are areas of interest, right? So with that said and done, right? What do we have going on now? What do we have happening right now? Okay, so as it stands, after price leaving point of control, it's just basically surged to the upside in the form of a staircase. So we just gone up, So we just gone up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and it might go up again, right? That's what could happen. And bearing in mind, we've had price close above the low value node. So this area right here, price has been interacting with it a fair bit within the last 2 weeks. And one of the things I'm actually surprised by is the fact that the data in this area hasn't really changed much. I would have expected, since price is playing around, I would have expected this to move, but it hasn't. So anyways, it is what it is. So what we're looking for right now is you want to see what price is going to do as it's doing what it's doing right now. Okay, what price is going to do as it's doing what it's doing right now. And in my opinion, based on the fact that we've had price close above this low value node area over here, okay, when price comes back down, let's see how low it comes today, right? If it bounces from this area back to the upside, so the area I'm talking about is 144.785, right? If price makes a move from that location, you could possibly think about putting in buys or longs, right? Now, I'm not telling you to do this. It's just an idea, right? I would consider it. I would consider it, because looking at what I'm seeing right now, I think price is going to try to break above, it's going to try to break above this swing high over here, right? I think it's going to try to break above it, and I think it's maybe going to target this area. But first things first, we need it to clear this zone, right? And I have the feeling that it looks like it wants to do so. So let's see how today plays out, and then let's see how everything kind of behaves moving forward in the coming days and possibly weeks. But I think we're going to get the move we're looking for within the next couple of days, in all fairness. I don't think the wait on this one is going to be that long at all. I think it's going to be quite sooner rather than later. So the key things of interest right now is this zone right here. So if you're already in with a buy, your profit potential, especially if you took it outside of the low value node, this level right here, your profit potential is you're looking at around 138 pips to the upside. So that is 138 pips for you, and that is in this area right here. Okay, once we get to that location, then we would know what to do next, if it's going to push back down or if it's going to blast through. If it blasts through, this is the area of interest. This is the area of interest, and that level in question, we talked about it last week, and that is 148.662. So if price closes above this level right here, which would be 147.157, then the price target that I'll be looking at would be 148.662. Okay, I think it makes sense, and I can see price wanting to do that. But however, it's early in the game, and only time will tell if price does take that approach or if it does not take that approach. But I'm thinking it will. So we just have to wait and see how all of that goes. Okay, so now with that said and done, let's look at more immediate actions we could take. Actually, as a matter of fact, let's go on to a higher time frame. So let's jump onto the 4 hour. And let's just see if 4 hour respects what I've just said, or if it disagrees. Okay, so it's practically following the trend line at the moment. It's just following the trend line. Let's look at the day to see if the day agrees. Well, we would know the day is a good one, right? The day is a good one, as a matter of fact, right? It's actually is a good indicator. So if we get a close of 144.39, all right, this could be a failed operation and price could be pushing its way downwards. But at this point, there's too much uncertainty in the direction of what price is actually doing. So you see, a part of me wants to be patient with USDJPY. A part of me wants to be patient, right? Just because of what we got going on in this area right here. It's looking really dangerous, right? So to me, it looks like, especially when I look at this on a day, it looks like it might want to break downwards. it's looking like it might want to break downwards, right? I'm pointing it out to you guys now, but it looks like it might want to break downwards, right? Especially with what today's candle is doing. I would say this: if we get a close below yesterday's lowest point, which would have been 144.385, I might actually be like, okay, price actually wants to come down, and then if I am putting in a sell, I would target either point of control or the boundary of the high value area, which is this location right here. Which would be this location right here. So we'll be looking at 142.128. That's what I'll be looking at. That's the kind of vibe it's giving me right now, in all fairness, right? So let's put this on our chart. I think it's actually a good idea. Let's put this on our chart right now. Let's put this level on our chart. Let's keep an eye on this structure. Right, let's keep an eye on this structure right now. And this is on a higher time frame. So most of you guys doing currency pairs, you're in it for, I don't know, a couple hours at most. This is more or less a swing trade. You guys are really trying to make some serious coin in this, right? So if you agree with this sentiment of really like tracking big movements in the market so you can have a really good payday, then I would recommend you put this particular channel on your chart, so at least you know what to do and when to do it, right? What to do and when to do it. Okay, so when I go back to the hour, I think I might need to expand this low value node area, but rather than just expand it like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another one on it, so we know there is one inside of this area. Okay, so at this point, okay, so right now we have a really good indication. Okay, now we can wait to see how this pans out, right? We have a good indication right now. Now all we got to do to wait to see how this pans out, to see how solid this is. So based on this new low value node that I have just identified, okay, this is going to be my my theory on what I think is going to happen, right? Price has tapped into the low value node area. It is now moving away. Okay, I believe that it's really moving away from this. So now what we now need to do is see if it closes, if it breaks through this trend line. If it breaks through this trend line, we're very interested if it does break through this trend line. So if you don't have it already, put this trend line on your chart. Okay, now the level that we're looking to see if you get a close below would be this level right here. Will be these lows right here, these swing lows. This is what we want to see, right? If we get a close below these levels, like I mean a proper close below it, then it's fair to assume price wants to come all the way down. The level I'm talking about is 144.406, right? Price wants to come down. If it turns out to be the case, this is what I'll be targeting. My profit potential would be from anywhere down here, either to point of control, which is 144 pips, or all the way down to the boundary of the high value area, the low side of the high value area, which would then give me 228 pips. Okay, so that's how I would do it. And with all that said and done, if you stayed watching up until now, thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate you as you follow me on my journey, right? And I will see you all on the next one.